You're watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco, brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Grand Lake Roofing, Fowler's TV, Family Audiology Associates, American Legion Post 323, Varsity Lanes, Outdoors Equipment Rental, Spring Street Storage, Mr. Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods. You are renovating St. Mary's Foundry, Mary Chap Auto Sales, Tap House at the Square, CSC, Including Plumbing and Heating, Roots Pub, Dr. Mike Compton, Guaneri's Pizzeria, and DFW Post 9289.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm your host, Zach Ferrall. Mark, it's hard to believe, but we're here in football season again.
It's about time.
The Rough Riders had a tough loss this week, 17-0 to St. Henry, and we've got a lot of clips to go through in a second.
All right.
But before we did that, I wanted to talk about you. This is your first year in many years that you're not on the field. What is your role with officiating in Ohio now?
It's the first time in 38 years that I've not spent a first Friday night on the football field. Yes, I'm off the field. Couldn't keep up with the kids. The kids stay the same age. We get older each year. So I am currently the rules interpreter for our local association. I'm in charge of basically somebody has a question within our group about rules. I'm the guy they go to. If I can't answer it, then I go on to the next level. I'm in charge of giving presentations each meeting as to rules, mechanics, things of that nature, which includes film. A lot of times it includes the film from these games, just as learning tools for all of us. So right now that's my capacity, and I'm going to be a fan of the Rough Riders.
I'm excited that you're going to be able to watch more Rough Rider games, and I'm really excited that you're still involved in the officiating because this definitely makes our show a little bit more relevant, and you're able to stay.
It does,
stay
and
in.
who knows? Maybe a guest appearance sometime in the booth when we're at home will take place. Who knows, right?
I think we definitely need to pencil that in.
So,
Mark, before we get started with the clips, I wanted to talk about any new rule changes this year. That's kind of always our first show that we talk about.
there are several. There are 4 or 5. A couple of them are kind of significant. One of them is and you may or may have not noticed, changes in penalty enforcement for the year. The rules now for the offense for fouls behind the line of scrimmage are going more towards the college rules, in that I'll say a hold happens behind the line of scrimmage, and normally we would probably go from the spot of that foul back 10 yards, and it could be a first and 35 depending on where the hold took place. Now those types of things are generally going to be enforced from the previous spot, basically where the ball was snapped. So instead of now being a possible first and 35, it's just could be a first and 20. It was just the rule makers finally, after all these years, finally came through and said, okay, we can see that some of our rules enforcement needs to grow up, so to speak.
Now, you said sometimes, so what does that mean?
Well, you're still going to have the fouls that we have a long run and there was a hold behind where the ball is down. Maybe we've got a block in the back behind the runner and we're beyond the line of scrimmage. Those fouls are going to be enforced like they normally have in the past, from the spot of the foul. But anything pertaining to behind the line of scrimmage, fouls by the offense, and there are exceptions, will generally be enforced from the previous spot. Now, that previous spot means from where the ball was snapped. Now, all officials are thinking, well, the ball went to the right side. We have a foul over there. Normally, we'd go from where the ball was, where the foul was, move it back. Well, that happens. Play goes to the right side, and we snap it on the left hash, and we have that type of foul. It comes back to the left hash.
It's
So
basically like the
see
play
some
didn't
of
happen.
That. You're going to see some of that, especially early on out of the officials. They're not going to get it right. And I know this because I've watched 3 different games on TV, and they didn't get it right all the time. So it's a learning curve for everybody. Coaches, Now I will say this about that. The coaches are going to be more involved in decision making, because if you've got a hold on the offense, let's say 5 or 6 yards in the backfield, now the coaches could go, okay, we'll take the play, and it's second down and 15, or, okay, no, we'll move them back to the previous spot, go back 10, it'll be first and 20.
Right.
So you're going to see some coaches, the wheels grinding, going, what do we do?
Yeah, first and 20 is not as good
versus
as
second and 15 maybe.
Or it would have been first and 30 last year or something like that.
Game time, game situation, time on clock, things of that nature. The ability of the team, defense, how they're playing will all act into that for the head coach. So you may see a little bit more time granted to the coaches to make a decision.
Yeah, and that's definitely big for St. Mary's, who runs the sweeps with the guards sometimes getting holding calls 5 yards behind the line. So definitely going to be an advantage for us.
There's going to be something there. There was a change in one of the definitions on out of bounds. So the play come up last week in one of the games where there was an onside kick and the ball was bouncing, it goes into the air, and one of the defenders or the receivers jumped after and came down with the football. Well, when he stepped to jump, he stepped on the sideline. So he's out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
Can't do that, so to speak. Well, he can step. Actually, it was the kicking team step. He was going to recover the onside kick. So technically, he's out of bounds. So he jumps, and with new definition now, he's still out of bounds until he comes back down in bounds with no other body part touching out of bounds. So he jumps, he steps on the sideline, jumps up. So in theory, he's out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
So when he recovers or possesses the ball in the air, technically he's out of bounds. So the ball technically has been kicked out of bounds by the kicking team, which would give the ball over to the receivers after a 5-yard
So
penalty.
previously, if he would have landed inbounds, it would have been an inbound ball?
At that point, what the kickers, we could have got in for illegal participation.
Okay, right.
So basically what the rule says is if you're out of bounds and you jump, or you can't be considered inbounds until you have at least a body part inbounds and not touching out of bounds.
Okay.
Now, it won't come into a play a lot except on plays like that where the sideline is involved.
Makes sense.
Okay?
Yep.
And then one other thing that you may notice as the season goes along, they changed some rules regarding a defenseless receiver. All right, think of the kid going up to pass, or maybe a defender intercept the ball, and we have a player that's going to just try to put a shoulder into him while they're in the air to knock the ball loose. Maybe not so much this year, because basically they say, look, if you have a defensive receiver, and he's in the air extended or whatever, you can contact him with open hands to try to jar it loose, or you can try to tackle with arms or arm wrapping around, right? Or if it's incidental contact and making a play on the ball. So the plays where the receiver goes up and you have a defender going to put a nice shoulder in the back of him and separate him from the football is going to draw a flag.
Gotcha. So open hand or wrap up tackle.
Kind of like the blindside block thing. They're fine if you use open hands. Same thing on the receiver. But if you put that shoulder in there and he's still defenseless, you're going to foul.
Well, we've got a blindside block clip coming up here too, Mark. So
we can kind of talk about that.
That's a good foreshadowing.
So
are any other rules, or those three the main changes?
They changed what kind of towels you can use. Now a player can wear a towel that's solid color, but they don't have to all be the same color. They can't have any logos of any great size on them. But other than that, no, there was some tweaks, but nothing substantial.
Well, I'm excited to see how those pretty significant rule changes come out on the rules of the game this year.
It'll
see
be
if we have any clips. Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got 16 clips from the St. Mary's St. Henry game, and I'm really excited to get Mark's opinion on some of these.
You're watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco, brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Grand Lake Roofing, Powers TV, Family Audiology Associates, American Legion Post 323, Varsity Lanes, Outdoors Equipment Rental, Spring Street Storage, Mr. Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods. You are renovating St. Mary's Foundry, Mary Staff Auto Sales, Tap House at the Square, CSC, Cody Plumbing and Heating, Roots Pub, Dr. Mike Compton, Guaneri's Pizzeria, and DFW Post 9289.
Welcome back to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm Zach Ferrall. Mark, we want to jump right in here to the clips.
Okay.
So we've got 16 of them from the game. This first one was an early catch, or maybe not. It was called a catch by on the field. I thought this one was kind of more obvious, but there was a couple ones later in the game that this was kind of foreshadowing.
It looks like he makes the ball, unless it's loose there. Now the umpire's got a good look at it, and the line judge has got a good look at it, and he immediately signals it's catched, or so to speak, and the forward progress is right there. Yeah, from our angle, it looks pretty decent.
We've also got an inside view right here, so on the left side of your screen, you can see the ball kind of there. There were a lot of low passes from St. Henry that some of the coaches thought were cradled, or some thought bounced, but it's really hard to see on our film.
In our
as well.
interpretation, in our situation, we're if in doubt, if nothing leads you to believe it was incomplete, that's going to be called a catch.
Gotcha.
So if it's
unless you can
gray
definitely
area,
see that it
well,
bounced.
we definitely see, or it's loose in there. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
This next clip was early in the game. St. Mary's threw a pretty deep pass here, and I know some of the St. Mary's fans thought it was pass interference. Just wondered your thoughts.
Oh, I mean, from that angle, I mean, I'm not sure that the defender was looking back for the football. Sure doesn't look that way.
And you can see the ball falls back, and it looks like the receiver's trying to get back to it a little bit.
You got the defender with the hand in the air, which some would consider face guarding. Face guarding is not illegal anymore.
Right.
But we do have contact, and we don't have the defender looking back for the football. I think that probably would have been a good pass interference call. Here you can really see, he turns his head just for a second, but is it enough?
Yeah.
Apparently the back judge thought it was. Right there, he turned the head just to see, and then boom.
I also thought it was interesting because to me it looked like definitely pass interference from the side, but that end zone view, maybe not as much.
Maybe not as much. And that's the view that the back judge has.
Right.
So
he definitely, to me, the end zone view looked a little bit more like the receiver kind of created the contact by kind of.
Well, the receiver's trying to come back for the football.
Right.
So
I guess he's allowed to, right?
That one look was enough to convince the back judge that it's good. If he doesn't look, we got a foul.
Gotcha. This next call was we had a couple of blocking below the waist calls on the center. So this was near and dear to my heart. So we want to watch this first one here. Watch the center. He comes out, gets into the legs of the D tackle, and they call that blocking below the waist. I know that that rule has changed since I played center.
The rule is interpreted to mean immediately. Immediately in the front, let's say in the free blocking zone, which basically runs from tackle to tackle, 3 yards on either side of the football. Immediately is interpreted in our game here in Ohio to mean one step. And it could be either way, straight ahead, to the side, or whatever. One step, and he's already in the act of going down. So when you look at this on film and you see the step, the center snaps the football, boom, and he's already going down there. He's already going down. In my opinion, and again, I'm not there on the field to see it, but that's probably a good block.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I was worried because I would have had 10 to 15 penalties when I played. If
it's a different game when
it
we
was
played,
very different.
though.
It was very different. So here's the end zone view of the same thing. It's a little bit further back, but you can kind of see the center sort of get out.
He made the step, and he didn't rise or anything like that. He doesn't hesitate. He's already going. He's filling a spot right there, and there was contact made, and it draws the umpire's attention. I'm not so sure that's a great call.
Really pivotal play there too, because it took back, I think, like a 20-yard run. Made that's a 15-yard penalty.
It is.
Really put St. Mary's in a hole early in the game.
So you got a 1st and 35 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was actually third down too.
Okay,
so
third down.
Even
sure.
worse.
Even worse. Yep.
So this next play though was another low catch here, and I'll just be honest. I think the entire St. Mary's stands thought that it hit the ground. I think the coaching staff did. The receiver, to his credit, did a great job of
it's interesting.
trapping it.
80 blocks our view here a little bit.
Yep.
It kind of, if it runs through, it kind of looks like maybe it was loose on the ground. The receiver gave that little clutch with his left hand to try to secure it. The wing guy's got a great look at it. The umpire's got to look at it.
Yeah.
And the line judge comes in right away and issues a catch. Again, he should have clear line of view. That's his call.
Yeah, we're just not there on the field to make that call. But to me, that double clutch too was telling.
It made it look suspicious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's an end zone view of the same thing. So look on your left side of the screen with number 9 here. And to me, that double clutch looks like the ball was moving. But
again, if in doubt, and he didn't do anything to make it appear that it wasn't, and it's one of those catch right on the ground situations, he's gonna give it to him right
now. The referee here in the white hat, should he have been looking out there?
No, he's got responsibilities inside with all the stuff.
He's supposed to look for like a
holding or blocks below the waist, things of that nature.
Roughing the passer.
Yeah, he can't be looking out there.
This next call was pass interference called on St. Mary's. At the time, I didn't think it was as egregious, but looking back at it on film, I think it was probably the right call. Just your thoughts on it. A little bit hard to see from the side view.
A little bit hard to see on that play.
Let's look at the end zone view. I thought when I was watching it in person that they just got their feet tripped up.
Could be.
But more I look at it, it looks like maybe there's some more hands involved here.
Oh, he runs. He goes through him. Yeah, that's... Yeah, I'm thinking that the ball was thrown. It's coming this way. He just, yeah. That's a foul. That's a good call. Good call.
This next call here was a face mask call against St. Henry. on our returner. And it's a little hard to see in the angle, but you can kind of see his head right there get pulled down on the end there, and the flag comes in.
Let's just see here. Yeah, it is tough to see inside. When you get inside like that, that's with all kinds of bodies, it's tough to see who's doing what. Yep, there's the grab right there. Yep.
I don't think that the end zone view really showed us much better, so we'll go to the next one. This is another
block
below the waist. Yeah, so watch the center again. He shoots out and rolls into the knees there and gets another penalty called.
Again, you got one step. If he's got one step and he's already in the act, it's immediate. I was talking to Coach Fry before the show here, and he said that the officials had told him that they can only go straight. Well, in my recollection, that wasn't true. Interpreted last year as one step either direction, as long as it's immediately and you didn't hesitate or anything along those lines. Now, did he take one step? Did he take two? I don't know, but he was already in the act after that one step of going down. So,
end zone view here just shows another angle of it. To me, he looked pretty flat. He's got a good crawl.
Yep.
He's not even really engaging into the knees directly, which isn't necessarily part of the rule anyway.
Right.
But he's shot out, crawling immediately, and part of the play. I hope for our sakes that we can get figured out with future crews, because that's a big part.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for the St. Mary's offense. Absolutely.
It's just for people who don't know, the guards leave that position and the center crawls out there and fills it.
Seal an area is what he's doing.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Next play, just thought we'd talk a little bit about the polecat.
Okay.
So this is a favorite formation of St. Mary's fans, and it did create a situation where St. Henry had to call a timeout. So we didn't actually run a play this time from the polecat. We ran it a little bit later in the game. But why, for fans who don't know or haven't seen this before, why is this legal?
Why is it legal?
Yes.
Well, number one, like all scrimmage plays, you have to have at least 5 guys on the line of scrimmage numbered 50 through 79, which we've got. Okay, they're out here. It doesn't say that they have to be on either side of the center. They just have to be there, and the center is one of them. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got that qualified. Not a problem. And the other part of the rule is you can't have more than 4 people in the backfield, which from this formation, the wideouts to the left, the quarterback, and the wideout back here behind the lineman, 4 guys in the backfield, and you assume that all these guys up front are on the line of scrimmage. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but they're all leaning. They're breaking the plane of a plane drawn through the center's waist, so they're going to be fine. And we're good to go on this formation. So it doesn't mean that you have to be able to be tight. You can be spread out all across that line of scrimmage if you want. So it's perfectly legal.
And it's good for sometimes getting a team that's unsuspecting to burn a timeout. Yep.
And maybe that was the case right there. And, of course, he's not going to come back to it.
And this is just an end zone view of the same play, just showing you can see that right side a little bit easier.
Yeah, they were confused, and it was a good timeout by St. Henry at that point. And, it's a great formation if it works.
Yep. This next play, Mark, we actually had 2 penalties on. So this was there's definitely a late hit called on the side. I'm thinking that the first penalty was a defensive holding or a pass it wasn't a pass interference. It had to be defensive holding. But you can see at the end there they did call a late hit on St. Mary's as well.
Hit out of bounds, I'm guessing.
Yep. So the first penalty comes right in there, and we can maybe see it a little bit easier on the end zone view. But at the end here you can kind of see the late hit. I didn't think it was an egregious late hit. The quarterback's still sort of running down the sidelines.
Yeah, you're not going to get that, how bad it was situation anymore. He steps out of bounds, and it's like, okay, we got a problem here going on. So that's what you're going to get on anything on the sideline. And so you're thinking that the other one was a hold on St. Mary's?
Yeah, so looking at the end zone view here, we have that little bit of little hold there, I guess. I didn't think it was.
Can we see that again from the start of the play? Because that flag is early on in the play.
So we'll just watch. It's really hard to see the receiver on the left side. It doesn't come into right there.
It's hard to tell who was doing what there. Could be.
And there's another view then of that late hit call.
Yeah. Yeah. Now he saw 2 things, and the only good thing about that is you can only penalize one of them.
Right.
Well, actually, no, you can penalize both because you've got a live ball foul And then as soon as the runner stepped out of bounds, that's considered a dead ball. So did
Okay.
they penalize both of them?
I don't believe they did.
So they didn't take one and then go half the distance on the other one or anything
No,
like that?
I don't believe so.
Nope, just one. Okay.
I believe they just took a 15-yard penalty from the late hit.
From the end of the run.
Yeah.
Interesting. That'll give me something to talk to him about.
Yeah, I could double check, but I feel like when I looked at the next play that it didn't take that much. So, next play was just another face mask call here on the kick return again. I thought it was interesting. I guess any of them can make this call. This one came from way in the back.
It's either going to be the umpire or the back judge, and they're looking head on into something like that.
Yeah.
For the guys that are coming up behind, they're not going to see that because of all the bodies. So they have a good look right inside and saw the hand, and assuming it was the defender that did the deed, so to speak. So they have the best look. You'll see that a lot.
This next call was no pass interference was called. I think some of the St. Mary's fans thought maybe it should have been. The ball was thrown out of bounds, though, and I didn't. But we've talked before that it shouldn't matter where the ball's thrown.
Should not matter. There's no such thing as an uncatchable pass in high school football. There we go right now. He's looking back. See, he's looking back right there. So he's got. And then we turn, and then was there enough of a push there? Probably not.
Gotcha.
Probably not.
We got an end zone view here, just another angle of it to show kind of where the ball was thrown out of bounds. So on the right side of the screen there, and it looked like a little bit like he pulled his arm down, but it wasn't as obvious.
Maybe not. Yeah, if we have an arm bar or something like that, that would be a problem. But he did look, and then the ball was thrown deep. So.
I had to watch this penalty several times to figure out what was called. It looks like a five-yard face mask call, though. Just a slight maybe tug of the mask. Didn't sustain it down to the ground or anything
very well
like
be.
that. I think the quarterback got wrapped up, and They said that I think that arm reaching out first.
Put on the mask and just grabbed it and then let go of it. Yeah, that's to get a 15. You gotta pull it. You gotta do something that makes it really, really obvious. I wish they would get rid of that and just go with all 15.
Well, we show so many 15-yard ones. I thought it was interesting to actually see a 5-yard.
They put the 5-yard in there because officials were reluctant to call a 15 when you just grab the mask and hold on to it for a second and let it go.
Right.
So they put that in there, and in college football, you just got a 15 no matter what it is. So that's the philosophy behind that 5-yard deal.
There's the end zone view again. You can kind of see the arm come up a little bit more right there.
Yep.
Kind of just.
He had it a little bit, but it wasn't enough for a 15-yarder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next play was a holding call. You can see I think it came from the center of St. Henry. He sort of absorbs a guy. It looks like maybe the guard there. No, I think it's the center there. That 67.
67.
Maybe that's the guard.
Take a look here.
So you can see he kind of turns his guy around and then sort of, I think he's the right guard. He's kind of got him right there tied up in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh, yeah.
And then sort of takes him to the ground.
Yep. But now the philosophy on that would be, okay, is it the runner gets a 2-yard gain? Mm-hmm. Is it enough for a hold? I mean, the defense, did he really gain an advantage by holding him there? Yes, no, inside. I mean, if they stack that up for no gain, that flag probably doesn't come out. But it's early in the season, so he made the call.
And
it's a legitimate call, but philosophy is, do you really have to make that call when you only get a 2-yard gain out of it?
And so that'd be an example of a holding call behind the line of scrimmage, too, only a couple yards.
Or a block in the back when you have the defender that's getting blocked make the tackle on like a punt or something like that.
Right.
And unless it's egregious, you probably shouldn't call that.
Right. Oh, Mark, I included this play. This was a blocked field goal from St. Mary's. And the reason why I included this was because there's another clip going around on social media of a blocked kick at the end of a high school game where the kicking team just gave up and walked off. Or no, the block team gave up and walked off the field.
I've seen that clip.
The kicking team picks the ball up and scores a touchdown.
Correct.
Wins the game. So just to remind everybody, the ball is still live if it's behind the line of scrimmage. Is that correct?
Correct. So if it goes beyond, see, when you block it like that, you got to think in your mind that nothing has really happened to the football. You ignore the block, so to speak, depending on whether the blocks. So if the ball happened to be just dribbles over the line of scrimmage, it's like a regular kick, punt, or wherever. And then if it rolls dead, it's dead because the kicking team can't pick up a ball that's gone beyond the line of scrimmage and go with it.
Right.
You can fall on it, but they're not going to get it. So this play here, the ball is, can we go back, Mr. Spencer, and see where we snap the football from? So we're snapping it probably, the 6, 7, 8 yard line?
Yeah, 6 yard line.
You see the wing guy out there punching back his back. So let's see where the ball ends up. So this is blocked. It's like it's never been touched, and here it comes. Okay, clearly behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Fine. In the play that you're referring to on social media, there's some question as, did the ball get to the line of scrimmage?
Okay. Because it went in the air and they caught it.
So it kind of was rolling and they
Right.
picked it up. So where was the line of scrimmage in relation to the football? This one was clearly behind. Either team could pick it up and go with it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And it looked like, to their credit, both teams that time recognized that and picked it up.
And did what they should do,
Right.
yes.
This next play was another one with multiple penalties on it. This was a punt from St. Henry, and I don't remember the second penalty. The first penalty, though, you're going to see a block away from the return here in the middle. Number 20 right there in the middle of your screen.
Oh, they got 2 flags on that sucker. And we got something over here, too.
I think, I'm trying to remember on the other side,
Let's see
maybe
that
a
again.
hold or something, but the bigger one was the one that we talked about earlier, was that blocking away from it. So number 20 right here at the bottom of your screen, you can watch him keep running. He's at the 40 and the 35 and the 30, and then
Oh, yeah.
lowers
That's a
his
foul.
shoulder.
That's a blind side block there. Yep. And then they're going to call another one out here on the corner.
right.
All right, so that's definitely a foul. We call that swimming upstream because he's coming across the grain right there. Here he comes. He's got him lined up, and that draws eyes from the officials big time. That's a blind side block. Unless he's got his hands out, then it would be fine.
That's the one we talked about. You got to keep your open hands on
And then
that.
this one here, right at the 25-yard line, just below the
I
numbers.
think it was a clip right there. That's what they call
Block in the black, were they just running together and they just bumped? Let's see. Let's come over here and see. He's got him lined up here a little bit as well. Oh, he makes contact with him. Sure. Yep, that's a foul. It's forceful. It's enough. So we got 2 of them. Now the question becomes, which one's they're going to take? They're probably going to take the one that's actually closer to their own goal line, or so to speak, and move them back. So, yep.
Then the last penalty that we got here is just a holding call on St. Mary's. I believe it's right here in the center of the screen. We'll have to see that again.
On the center,
I
maybe?
think it might have been on the center. Nope, I think on the right guard.
Right guard.
You can see him sort of
he
pull the guy
kinda
as he's running
pulls.
past.
Okay. Can we run that at full speed once? I say to our engineer. Yeah, did he take a step away? Half a step? Maybe. Did he gain an advantage to that? You could say it was a half a step, but really? So,
Little ticky-tacky?
it's a judgment call there.
Okay.
I mean, technically, is it a hold? Yes. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to make that call.
Well, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
First week, we're starting with a bang, 16 clips. Fortunately or unfortunately, there were a lot of plays that we were able to look at. So,
well, the Riders will get better.
yes.
St. Henry will get better, and who knows what the season will bring.
We've got we're going to be at Salina this week, so everybody be sure to tune into Rider Nation Station, where we'll bring you the Rough Riders as they take on their arch rivals, the Salina Bulldogs, and hopefully we'll have a lot of clips from a victory next week to share.
So. All right.
Thanks for being here, Mark.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco, brought to you by all of these fine sponsors.
Grand Lake Roofing, Fowler's TV, Family Audiology Associates, American Legion Post 323, Varsity Lanes, Outdoors Equipment Rental, Spring Street Storage, Mr. Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods. You are renovating St. Mary's Foundry, Mary Staff Auto Sales, Tap House at the Square, CSC, Cooking, Plumbing and Heating, Roots Pub, Dr. Mike Compton, Gwinnett Pizzeria, and DFW Post 9289.